Yes. Okay. So welcome everyone. We Cod's computer vision team are very excited for this workshop today, and it'll be handled by me, Sanjana, and my friend Mahim. And so, without wasting a minute, let's just start. And we hope you enjoy the whole session. So, coming on to the introduction, computer vision. I mean, today, computer vision is one of the hottest fields in artificial intelligence and machine learning. And I mean, given its wide variety of applications and tremendous potential, there are new technologies and new, advancements made every day. Well, what is it? It's a field of study focused on the problem of helping computers see, and the main goal of computer vision is to extract useful information from images. So, so the from the next slide onwards, we'll see some popular applications of computer vision. Let's go. So, the first one is self-driving cars, and I'm sure all of you have heard of self-driving cars. Well, what's the main principle behind it? Object detection. So, object detection actually is a two-part process: image classification and image localization. So, image classification is determining what the objects in the image are, like a car or a person, while image localization is providing, the specific location of the objects. And to basically perform image classification, there's a thing called CNN, or convolutional neural networks, which are trained to recognize various objects like traffic lights and pedestrians, and is used to classify them also. But however, such CNNs can usually only classify images with a single object that take most of the portion of that image. So, to solve this problem, they came up with something called the sliding window algorithm. So, as you can see here, it speaks for itself that as we slide the window over the image, we take the resulting image patch and run it through the CNN to see if it corresponds to any possible object. If it's just the image of a road or sky, it would be a false prediction. But if it's a car or a person, then it would be a true prediction. But um, what if there's an object a lot larger or smaller than the window size? It wouldn't be. It just wouldn't be detected, right? So, to basically rectify this, we'll have to use multiple window sizes and slide them over the image. And since this can basically, it takes a lot of time to, take so many window sizes and continuously slide them over images. And also, it can be very computationally expensive. So, again, there was another advancement done, and it was called YOLO. Well, YOLO stands for you only look once, and it does mean you only look once since the image is only run through the CNN once. So for YOLO, what they do is they split up the image into a grid and run the entire image through the CNN, and thus it makes it faster. Let's move on. Okay, so this I think everyone knows. Can any one of you, mute and tell me which one of these two images is the original and which of them is a deepfake? Anyone? Just a try. No one? Cool, guys, cool. So let me tell you, well, for people who thought the left one is the original are right. So these are deepfakes, and nowadays they're really famous. Deepfake. This word comes from the technology deep learning, which is a form of AI. So deep learning algorithms, they teach themselves how to solve problems when given large sets of data. You must be wondering how all this is done. Well, there are several methods for creating deepfakes, but the most common one relies on the use of deep neural networks involving something known as autoencoders that employ a face swapping technique. So just for reference, what an autoencoder is, it's a deep learning AI program which is tasked with studying the video clips to understand what the person looks like from a variety of angles under different light and environmental conditions, and then mapping that person onto the individual in the target video. So, so thus, as you heard it, we first need a target video to use as the base for the deep fake, and then a collection of video clips of the person you want to insert in the target, and thus you get this deep fakes. Um, Moving on to the next application, we have something known as OCR, that is optical character recognition. As the name says, optical character recognition, it's used to extract text from images, and you can see over here in this card, it is easily able to extract the text, the numbers from it. And today we use something known as something known as Tesseract OCR, which is by Google to do this, and it has a wide variety of applications. So next we have tracking and motion capture, as you can see here. Well, let's go on to some OpenCV basics, which you will need and which will be very helpful for the code that you will be doing. Um, the first thing that we'll be talking about are color models. Well, color models, let me tell you this way, that to understand the nature of something, it can be really helpful to create a visual representation of the subject, right? And in fact, we tend to do this quite often, from scribbling notes in lectures to drawing, visual flow charts and maps to explain specific subjects. And we do this mainly because many of us are visual learners, and seeing something is of course different than hearing it. And throughout history, artists and scientists have depicted that the color spectrum, um, to basically, turn the color spectrum into something comprehensible. And thus, they introduced color models. So, color model is nothing but a visualization that depicts the color spectrum as a multi-dimensional model. So the first color model that we'll be seeing is the RGB color model, and this is the base or the standard color model that they came up with. It has three dimensions, as you can see, three axes: RGB, red, green, and blue. So that are mixed to produce a specific color. So when defining colors, a particular color in this dimension, one has to know the sequence of the colors in the color spectrum. For example, a mix of 100% red and green produces yellow. So if you go along red and green up, so you get yellow, something like this. But there are some limitations of this model. I mean, what values would you use for dark purple or some complex color that you want to use? We can't find the answer because humans, we don't think about colors as mixes of red, green, and blue lights. And thus, they came up with another color model called the HSV color model. Stands for hue, saturation, and radius. Sorry, value. Value is the depth. So it's a cylindrical color model, and it's basically much more intuitive and easier to understand than the RGB color model. As you can see, hue is the angle, saturation is the radius, and value is the height. So this is about color models. Then we go on to some basic morphological transformation. So, well, morphological transformations are some simple operations performed on the image shape. And you can see by the images here, it's pretty clear that there are two processes, you can say, that can be performed on an image. One is the erosion, and the next one is dilation. So you can see that erosion erodes away the boundaries of the image, and dilation does the opposite. It blurs it even more. So we'll be using dilation in the code that we'll be showing you. And so basically in erosion what happens is all the pixels near the boundary will be discarded. So it's basically very useful for removing small white noises. And erosion so basically not only removes white noises but also shrinks the images, the object. So we dilate it. So since the noise is gone, they won't come back, but our object area increases. And it's really useful in joining broken parts of an object. These were some basics of OpenCV. Now, no more theory. Let's go on to the main part, the code. Yes, Mahim, over to you.
Okay, so now we are done with the basics. So let's get started with what we are doing in today's workshop. We'll be creating an air canvas. Okay, so what will happen next? Just stay tuned and be patient. So I hope you guys have your laptops ready because we need some of the installations. As you can see on the slide, we will need two libraries, OpenCV and NumPy. And how to install them, you can see the command and type it. And also while executing the program, and which I'll also share the code in between and after this session. So don't worry much about the code. I'll explain more about the logic or what are the thought process behind it. So make sure you have a clear background. It doesn't mean that you need a green screen or like something weird. So you just need a clear background. I'll be using a curtain or probably a wall and something a very high contrasting object like red, blue, green color. I'll be using a blue color marker pen because it's really distinctive from my wall's background color. So okay, next slide please. So this is how it will look at the end of this session. We'll be having two windows. One will be your live feed tracking, and another will be a white canvas. So we can draw on the both panels. I mean, you will be drawing on one panel, and it will automatically be drawn into the white canvas also. Next slide, please. So how do we explain what you are doing? What is the algorithm behind this? So first we'll tune our HSV values that Sanjana just discussed about in mask window to set counters. Okay, these three are really big words and pretty much confusing if you're a first timer. What are HSV values? Just another representation of RGB model. What are masks? What are counters? We'll just look into the next slide. Next slide, please. So, so we'll be also having this color detectors window because we will be needing to tune our HSV values. Why do we need to tune our HSV values? Because we want only to detect our blue color gap. We hope that our program or our camera doesn't detect other colors or other objects while drawing. I only want it to detect my blue color. So that's why we are tuning HSV values to, let's say, blue color. In my case, it's blue color. In your case, it will be probably another color. Okay, so next slide, please. So this is the, so as I said, borders mask. Mask is just simply, so we'll filter out what are the portions that will be interest to us. So the right one will be the actual implementation. We'll also have a mask window. As you can see, there are a lot of white blurry things because we'll need to filter out and focus on only one thing, that is our blue cap or our tracking object, as I'm saying. So we'll just filter out and so we'll tune our HSV values in our mask window. So I hope guys it's clear. Next slide. So what are counters, right? So as you can see in the picture, it's the region where it can detect my blue cap. So as how do we know it has detected only blue cap? So we can see a round ring is around this blue cap. So hence we can say this is a counter is formed. That means a region with same color, that is the color blue color, has been detected. Great. So now I've talked about HSV, mask, counters. So let's get back to the algorithm slide. Okay. So now we have done first step. So we'll be using DQ data structure. So in case of first years, you do not know, it's just another sort of data structure, just like list in Python. It's just that it follows a certain policy of first in, first out, just like a queue. So whatever comes first, it will get pushed or it gets executed first. So yeah, that's why we're using first in, first policy. So just excuse me, just a second. Yeah. And then why will be using data structures? Because while drawing, we'll be appending the center coordinates. The center coordinates of our counter into our DQ data structure. Let's say I'm drawing a blue color line. So the coordinates of its counter will be appended into blue points DQ. And so for green and similarly for red and yellow DQs. After we've appended DQ, after we've appended the center coordinates, we'll use simple for loops and we'll create lines. So I think we are done. So I'll just share my screen and I hope you guys will follow with me and I'll just be explaining. Just one sec, guys. Share my screen.
So guys, if you have any doubts, you can put it in the chat box and we can tell you after the session.
Okay, so Isma, can you see my screen? So here's
Yes,
the
yes,
code.
yeah.
Yeah. So this will be a little bit long code. So I'll be sharing this whole code at the end of this session. So just chill and sit back, guys. I'll just tell you what does each line mean, why are we using that. All right. So so first we'll import our libraries, NumPy as NP and CV2, which is OpenCV, OpenCV libraries abbreviation. Also, well, from collection is a default library in our Python and we'll import DQ data structure. Okay. So yeah. So first we'll create track bars. Okay. Why do we need create track bars? I guess everyone just forgot it. Like, what do you mean by track bars? What was track bars? And let's go to this part. Yeah. So these are the track bars we'll be needing to tune our HSV values. As you can see here, we are tuning our upper hue saturation value and we're also tuning our lower hue saturation value. Why do we need to tune that? Again, say we need to tune so that it can detect our blue color. So this is the code while creating this, and first the name of our window will be color detectors, just like this, color detectors here, and make sure the in the second parameter the name of your window matches your name of your window matches. So this will be upper hue saturation value, and this will be upper hue saturation value. What does third argument mean? These are the default values while creating. Fourth is the maximum limit. So what is this set values function? Why do we need that? In case, so what does this function does is every time we switch or change our track bar values, this function will get executed. But we won't want any special thing or any special function to be executed. We just want to simply change our track bars. So we'll do nothing. We can also use return here, or just for the sake of showing that this function gets executed, I'll use print, and in your terminal you can see that file executed. Okay, so our track bar initialization is done. So we have created our window and also this resize window. If you guys don't use this portion, it's fine. For me, it caused an error. So we might need to resize or create some dimensions, otherwise it might not show the track bar window color directives. Okay, cool. So let's go to DQ initialization. As I said, we'll be using DQ data structure. There's nothing much big deal about like why I'm using the DQ data structure. We can also use list also, but we will need some more some tuning or like push or bend back. Yeah, DQ is simpler, so that's why I use it. So here we are initializing B points. That is the Q for blue color. This is for green color, and so on for red and yellow color. So these are the blue and green indexes. I'll tell them what are the uses at the end of this code, like why are they uses. But for now, I've just initialized them. Great. So, so what is kernel? Kernel is nothing. It just generates np.1. It just generates a 5 by 5 dimensional matrix with only ones in it. Well, why do we need it? Because as it is shared in the screen before, we have something called dilation. We want to reduce impurities or make our tracking object get being detected much more better. Also, if your webcam is really clear, like if you're rich or something, you have 8K camera, you don't need some impurities. But for me, I'm a cool guy. I have a pathetic camera, so we'll need this. So yeah, so this is the colors array. So these are the BGR representations of colors for blue, green, red, and yellow. I'll just use them while we are creating paint window, and color index will also get used. So this is the boring part. I'll just initialize everything like what is this, what is that window. I'll just come to main algorithms. So this is the colors array. Now we're creating a paint window, a paint canvas. So what is our paint canvas? Here you can see this is our paint canvas. Also you can see here we have 5 buttons. One is clear button in case you want to clear everything that you've drawn, and another is blue, another is green, red, and yellow. So in this part we'll just be creating a C2 dot rectangle, because yeah, square we can also play with same dimensions. And please notice this 255. I can also type it as 255. 255 will work fine. Why do we need to add 255? So that our background is white, because this is the canvas, and yeah, we need canvas of white. Okay, so we have created, and in this portion of the code, we'll be putting text like clear, blue, green, red, and everything. So in the comments I've written like what is these are the coordinates, these are the font type. This is these big words are just nothing, just font type. You can even Google or check on the documentation. So these are the font size, and this is the no actually yeah this is the BGR. The 000 is the background color. I think this might. So these are the BGR, and this is the line and thickness type. So one of the things I've missed is we have created a rectangle. So why are we using only two, what do we say, two set of coordinates? Because what do they mean is this is the lowest x-axis range. I mean, this is the minimum starting x-axis value, and this is the ending x-axis value. Similarly for this is the starting y-axis value for this rectangle button, and 65 will be the maximum limit for our rectangle button. So our button will range from 40 to 140 in x-axis and 1 to 65 in a y-axis. Great. So now I've used this. Now I'll capture our video feed, because we'll need a video, because we'll be drawing. We don't need pictures. So yeah, we need a video capture. Why do I have use 0 in it? I can also put 1 or like 2, 3. No, but only 0 and 1 are allowed. In case you have two cameras, so for in my case, I'm using a laptop. So it just only has one camera, so I'm using this primary camera. In case for some other professionals, they have some secondary camera, they can use one. So here I'm using 0. Great. Then we'll capturing the live feed, and then we'll capture the frames, because in each video we have several frames going on continuously. So we'll be reading our frames. And what does this RET mean? So RET is basically just to check, it just returns a true or false value, whether your camera is working. If your camera is working, it just returns true, else it's false. So we will not be using this, but we need this. So yeah,
Sorry to interrupt, Mahim.
yeah,
Guys, so some of them are raising their hands.
okay,
Any
okay,
doubts, like put it in the chat box, guys.
yeah. If you guys have doubts, you can just Joseph Alvin, you have some doubt. Okay, am I not audible?
Yeah, I actually can't find the chat box for some reason.
Okay,
Might just be my problem. Can I just ask?
yeah.
Could you go to the BGR part?
BGA part in the slides.
Um, I
Sorry, you're lagging.
yeah, what that does because
I think
in the
if
code,
Sanjana can read you, like, because it's lagging.
in the
Yes.
code
Okay, in the code, yeah. The BGA part
at the bottom, at the bottom,
the bottom, yeah, this portion.
a bit more.
Okay, yeah, this one.
That yeah. So they're all 255, right? Then what's exactly the point of that?
I think while we're putting blue green text, if you look
Oh,
closely,
wait, I understood it. It's because
yeah, it is.
the
Yeah,
text,
blue,
yeah, that
green,
is
yeah,
white.
text is
Yeah,
white.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's why
my bad,
we're.
my bad.
I know it's fine. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So just to see that. Cool. Then I'll resume. Yeah. So as I said, we'll be capturing frames first, and we need a while loop because we are capturing a series of frames. Hence, we are capturing our whole video. Great. So while capturing, what you can see is why do we need to flip it? Because while capturing the OpenCV takes your mirrored image. So we'll just flip it again so that while we're drawing, we're not getting a mirrored version. Let's say we're drawing hello world, we're not getting the mirrored version of hello world. So we'll flip it again and we're just using one so that, yeah, just use one flip. Okay. So this part of the code HSV, we are transforming, and again OpenCV by default uses BGR model. So here in this part, CV2 CVT color, what does it do is it transforms to any color model to or different. It's just used for transformation. And in this transformation, what we are going to do, we are transforming BGR to HSV. So I'll just show there are other possible transformations also. BGR2, I hope VS Code pops up and recommends me something. Yeah,
Grayscale.
yeah. We can also transform to grayscale. We also have different types. So we will be using BGR2 HSV. Great. So now we have taken HSV transformation. So as I said before, we'll be tuning our HSV values. For that, I created track bars. Now I also need to tune them. No, I have also created and I also tuned them. Now, how will I get the values of them? Well, I'll be using this CO2 dot get track bar position. So I'll be getting the value of whatever track bar was used. So here we can see upper hue saturation value values are being extracted, and so are for lower hue saturation value. So as you can see, the window name will be color detectors, and upper hue value we're getting the hue value. Now we'll be transforming these into NumPy array to use them in our mask window. Like as I said before, we need masks so that we can filter out all of the other impurities and just focus on what is important. So so converting into an NumPy array is must because just in the later part of the code, I'll just say. Also, we need a live frame which takes your live field. So it's just exactly like our paint window. If you can observe, this is our paint window. This is This is put text, and see, this is almost exactly like that because we need them almost to be similar. And we can see here the background color is a little bit in the yellow case, and in clear all button the background is gray. So probably, yeah, so that's why I've used 1 to 2 because this means PGR is gray. This is the only difference with paint that we have. Oh yeah, where you can see it's 000, it's 1222. So we have used same X and Y coordinate ranges, same clear all, blue, green, yellow. So we've also created the same color buttons. So we will when our tracking object will hover over these buttons, our color will be changed or our screen will be totally removed or like cleared. Okay, so as I said before, like we'll be converting these HSV values to NumPy array. Now we'll be using these low HSV and upper HSV to create a mask so that our mask can know, okay, HSV values are set. Now what do I need to do is filter out the other impurities. So in this slide also we can say we use these techniques. Now these techniques are another workshop of its own, but in simple version I'll just say that these are just used to remove impurities. Erode, as you can see, it's just like soil erosion. In the slide it is there, and this is the dilation. So we are using dilate. And as I used what was kernel, like as I said, like guys, just have patience. I'll use why do you need kernel for that? So here we are using this kernel that I created way back before. Yeah, this is the kernel that I have used. I'll be also telling what is the need of color index, what are the uses of these things in the later part of the algorithm. Cool. So now we have tuned the HSV values. We have also created a mask of these HSV ranges. Now what we need to do is find contour. What is a contour? It's the region that something blue or some region where a gap can be detected. Great. So how we will find a contour? We'll be finding a contour with this find contours function. And I think we'll be having several contours, like in case you have different sizes. So we'll be getting several contours. And this is just another chain approx simple algorithm for that. To go much more depth, you can check out the algorithm. Like what does this mean? Chain approx. This is written in documentation. So guys, up to here, like if anyone has doubt to any point, or like did I go too fast, or like is it comfortable? Like am I audible?
What's the comma underscore next to CNTS?
CNTS. It's just nothing. It's actually the contours returns another useless value. So as I said, like another useless value was like RET. I don't really know what's the use, but I know that for sure it's not going to be used. So that's why it's just underscore, or like I can say like useless. So pretty sure it's useless. Yeah, sorry for that. So now we find our contours, and we'll be setting center to none. It's the center of our coordinates that we'll be getting from our contour. Great. So all the mask creation, all the live frame creation, it's done. Now let's go to main algorithm. Like what we are using, how we are using. Okay. Now let's say if you are drawing, and let's say if you're not drawing, how can it be detected? So with this, we can see if contours are formed or not. Let's say you're drawing and you're just hiding your object so that you can create space, or you don't want to draw anything. So if you don't want to draw anything, we'll just be appending blank DQs, and yeah, these are the indexes that we'll be using These are just to differentiate, okay, like when should we print the color, when should we not print the color, just to indicate that. So this is the condition where nothing is being drawn. So so just in case nothing gets messed up, that's why we also appending blank cues, because when we don't want to draw anything, so that's where we're implementing blank, and blank gets printed also. Okay, so let's go to the portion where our counters are found. So we are sorting our counters so that we can see, and this is reverse equals to, so reverse equals to true, so that we can find the biggest region. So when I'm showing my blue color cap, I don't want it to detect my half cap. I want it to detect the biggest counter it can find. So that's why we're using sorted reverse, and we're getting the largest contact that we can find. And this is the portion where we'll be creating a circle around the contour, and we'll be defining a center. And as you can see here with the center, these are x coordinates. Like why do we used M10, M00? It's just the procedure, or like it's in documentation, like why M was used. I don't know, maybe the creator of OpenCV knows that. So now I've initialized the center coordinates. This stands for x coordinate, these are for y coordinates. Great. We've also created a circle, and our center, we know the center coordinates. Great. Now we know the center coordinates. How we will know that when should we draw, and when should we select the colors? Because while drawing, it's doing something different, and while selecting colors, a different execution is being happening, or different process is happening. So as you can see here, if center 1, that is if our y coordinate location center is less than or equal to 65. I can also make it as greater than 1, but it's pretty obvious it will be always greater than 1. Now I have a question for all of you guys. Please pay attention, because this is the main algorithm. Why have I used less than 65? As I can see, these buttons are above the canvas. Like it should be like higher, like our common sense tells, like it should be greater than that, no? So why are we using them? I'll just see in case if someone can I'll just uh, I'll just repeat my question. So why are we using center y coordinate less than 65? Like, okay, so first of all, I will tell I haven't tell what we are doing. So how can I ask a question so seriously? Okay, so in this part of the code, in this else, we're just checking if the user wants to click of on any button on the screen in this if condition. And in these else condition, we just simply mean that we are drawing something. Great. So when we are selecting the button, as I said, like, okay, nobody is. Okay, so I'll just tell myself, like, why is it less than or equal to 65? Because if we can go back there, see, we have created the frame of clear all button. It ranges from 1 to 65 in y-axis. So if our y-axis coordinate is greater than 1, which is obvious, and less than 65, we know that for sure. Okay, that and every part of the button ranges from 1 to 65. So when it ranges from 1 to 65, we know that for sure that we are going to click a button. So if it ranges between 40 to 140, we are using clear button. We are setting all our indexes to 0 and just creating blank queues. Or actually, we are setting the p points queue variable to blank queue with pretty low length. And this paint window, and this is the clear button. Everything is reset, and paint window will be set back to white background. And as I said before, 255, 255 doesn't make sense. I mean, it makes the same sense. So 255 is set, so that required background is set again. Okay, and this part of the code is for checking whether we are clicking on blue button. This is for green button. How we are checking? Now we are using our color index, as I said way before. Okay, what will be the use of this color index? So yeah, finally we're here. So this will be just to see that whether we have selected blue, we have selected green, or we have selected red button. So we have select. So just to mark them, and when we have selected them, now is the time for drawing. Okay, and if our color index is 0, blue center coordinates, blue colors contour coordinates will be appended by, and we're using append def because it's a DQ. So that's why it's different from the typical list we're using in Python, and we're also using these blue index. So in the blue index point, the particular blue index point, we are appending the center coordinates. Same goes for green. If the color index is 1, and if the color index is 2, then it's red. And if our color index is 3, then the coordinates will be appended to yellow color DQ. As you can see that, like, we have to ensure that whatever color we are selecting, it gets appended into its respective DQ. Just don't append the colors of, I mean, don't append the red color coordinates into green DQ. So yeah, that's just the basic common sense. And I explained these part, like if you don't want to draw anything, just append blank cubes. Great, we're almost at the end of the code, and yeah, I'll just be showing the demonstration soon. Okay, so we have created another list of all our DQs, and we'll be using multiple nested for loops. So for I in range of our points, let's say I is our B points. In our B points, we can see what are the points in it. Like, as you can see here, the append left was used while we were drawing, and just blank append was used when we were drawing. So we will just check that if it is blank, then we will not draw anything. And if it's not blank, then we'll use this function cv.line. As many of you wondered, like, okay, we have appended, how we will draw? This is the function. And we'll also create the same thing at frame and in our paint window. So what is frame? Frame is our live feed, and I've just named it as frame. So this is our live feed and this is our paint. So we'll be appending all these coordinates. No, actually we'll be now printing these coordinates. These are the starting coordinates and these are the ending coordinates. This is the colors of I, which I have specified in the array before, and this means the thickness. Great. So I'll just share the code for now, like, so that you guys can also execute. Where should I do? I'll just upload later on in the file section after this workshop gets over, and I'll just show my demonstration that how I'm executing it. Okay. So yeah. So how we'll be showing our windows? We'll be showing first our tracking window, then we'll be showing our paint canvas window, and then we'll be showing our mask by tuning. We can also, I just commented some part of the code, you can just try later after this session. Great. So what does this mean, like, if this is goes to break? As you can see, I have created an infinite loop here. What is the exit condition of this? Exit condition of this is when you press Q on your keyboard, this will exit. So what does this code mean? Like, it will wait for every 1 millisecond and if the key is pressed, and if the key is pressed is equals to the ASCII value of Q, then uh, this while loop will be break. So what does this mean? Cap dot release. Well, we are capturing and we want our camera. We want yeah. So we are capturing through this cap, and we want this program to release our camera, and also to destroy all windows. No, that doesn't mean like destroy all of the processes that are working. Just destroy all other processes that are being executed in this, all the processes in the CPU that are related in this CPU. Okay, great. So everything is working great. So I'll just execute this, and as I'm using VS Code, I also have an extension called CodeRunner. So I'm just clicking it. Otherwise, you can just type in the terminal Python name of the file .py. Okay, so I'm just shifting to a different position because get ready, guys. After an hour of wait, now here.
I think you're still only showing your VSC screen. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
you need to share your window.
yeah. I'll just be sharing it right now. Just be patient. I'm actually, because I'm in hostel right now, and I hope you guys don't see, because I want a clear background, so I'm just shifting to a different place. Okay, so I'll just if you can see the, can you guys see this portion?
Yes,
Like,
yes.
yeah, like as you can see my face, because okay, the camera is so pathetic. So let me just shift a little bit. Yeah. So as you can see here, yeah, our program is going totally haywire. Like it doesn't know what to detect, what not to detect. So all of these values, like why do we need to tune IHSV? Why do we need to tune this? Why do we need a mask? Everything will make sense. In the mask, as you can see, that's why I want a black t-shirt so that it's good for binary images. So now I'll tune my HSV values, and this is our tracking object. This is a blue color marker pen that I'm using. You can see here. Yeah, great. So this is our color detectors. Okay, shit. Yeah. Now I'll tune according so that it can only detect this. So let's remove some of these. Okay. We don't want that our tracking object gets filtered out. We'll remove the other portions. Okay. Now only tracking object is being detected, and it is smooth. Yeah, as you can see here, I have tuned my HSV values, and now it can detect only this, and now everything is set. So we'll just look at our tracking window and our mask window. As you can see here, the round uh, yellow ring signifies that something counter has been detected. So as you can see, it's pretty smooth because my wall is also pretty clear and there are no impurities. Great. So let's just draw a tree. See here, I'm choosing the red color. So I'll just draw a red tree. Yeah, as you can see here, and this green part, the leaves. Yeah. So as you can see here, I've hidden my tracking object, and I've also nothing is being detected. So while I'm moving, I don't want any lines to be printed. So I hope that algorithm part makes sense. Like, okay, when we are hiding this counter or we're not using anything, nothing should be drawn. So yeah, so this is a pretty cool project. You can also put it in your resume if you host it on a web app and put it on front end and back end. So here I'm using, I'm not touching any of these things. I'm just hovering my hands. This is clear out. And if you remember on Disney Channel ads, I think there used to be something called this, like this, this or like, yeah, like, can you guys remember, or like, is it the only me who used to watch Disney Channel in childhood? Okay, nobody's responding, so your childhood is ruined. So I hope you guys, this was really wonderful. Is my tracking live feed and paint windows visible? Like, I'm just asking it again.
Yes, yes, it is.
Yeah, it's okay. So I'll just press the Q button and it's done. Great. So I'll just summarize everything once again in a quick way because we don't have much time left. So we created track bar windows with name color detectors just to tune our HSV values. Then we created DQs. Then we created paint window canvas. Then we started our live feed capture and we flipped the frame. We converted BGR model to HSV values because uh, OpenCV takes it BGR value by default. That's why we need to convert. Then we are getting the values from track bar, and after we get the HSV values from the track bar, we'll be using it in mask, and we'll be creating a mask and do all the impurity and just cleaning stuff. We'll be also creating a live frame window, and we'll be also finding a counter. After finding a counter, we'll be checking whether a counter is formed. If it is formed, then we'll check whether we are drawing or we are clicking on a button. So this is the part for where we are clicking on a button, and this is the part where we are drawing. And this is the portion if no counter was detected. Taking we're just appending some blank cues. So this is the portion where we are printing out all our coordinates, say in order, and hence we are showing with the command cvt.im show all our windows. This is our exit condition, and we are good. So guys, yeah, we're done for the today, and I hope you guys you had really nice time